Like I strolled down the streets and stalked young boys and slaughtered them.
This is John Wayne Gacy, and he was convicted of 33 murders of mostly teenage boys. John was born on March 17th, 1942 in Chicago, Illinois. Gacy seemed to have a regular childhood, with the exception of his turbulent relationship with his father, John Wayne Gacy Sr. The authors described the father as unpleasant, abusive, alcoholic, prone to physically and verbally assaulting his children. They described Gacy as deeply loving his father and wanting desperately to gain his approval and attention, but failing to win him over before Gacy Sr. died in 1965. After attending 4 high schools during his senior year and never graduating, Gacy dropped out of school and left Chicago for Las Vegas. While there, he worked part-time as a janitor for Palm Mortuary. Unhappy in Vegas, he returned to Chicago a few months later. During the early 1960s, Gacy enrolled in a business college and developed a talent for salesmanship. A born salesman, he could talk his way in and out of practically any situation. Upon graduating, he went to work as a management trainee at Nunn Bush Shoe in downtown Chicago. He excelled in his position and within weeks was transferred to Springfield to manage a men's clothing outlet for the company, where he remained employed for nearly a year. Shortly after his promotion, Gacy married into a wealthy family and relocated with his new bride to Waterloo, Iowa in 1966. At the request of his father-in-law, Gacy took over management of the family's chicken restaurant. Gacy quickly became a well-known and liked member of the community, according to later accounts in the Waterloo Courier. However, all was not well with Gacy. The future serial killer would be arrested for the first time in 1968, the felony charge, attempting to coerce a male employee into homosexual acts, came as a big surprise for those who thought they knew this likeable father of 2 infants, especially his wife of 2 years. Gacy pled guilty to sodomy and was sentenced to 10 years in Iowa State Men's Reformatory in Anamosa. His wife filed for divorce following the sentencing. Angered, Gacy informed her he did not want to see his children again and would henceforth consider her and the 2 kids dead. In February 1971, Gacy again ran into trouble with the law. He was charged with the attempted sexual assault of a young man. The charges were dropped when the victim failed to appear in court for the hearing. Gacy spent part of his leisure time hosting elaborate street parties for friends and neighbours, dressing as a clown, and entertaining children at local hospitals. He also immersed himself in organisations such as the Jaycees and the local Democratic Party. As a Democratic precinct captain, he once had his picture taken with First Lady Rosalynn Carter. Gacy's second wife divorced him in March of 1976. Gacy's second wife felt she could no longer cope with the marriage due to her husband's unpredictable moods and bizarre obsession with homosexual magazines. The couple did not have children. On December 12, 1978, the police again focused their attention on John Wayne Gacy. Robert Peast, a teenage stock boy at a local Des Plaines pharmacy, had come up missing. Gacy was the last person seen with the boy prior to his disappearance. When the investigators ran a background check on Gacy, they were surprised to discover that he had previously served time for committing sodomy on a teenage boy. With this incriminating information, investigators were able to obtain a warrant to search Gacy's house. During the execution of the warrant, investigators entered a crawl space located beneath the home. A rancid odour was quickly noticed. The smell was believed to be faulty sewage lines and was quickly dismissed. Without any noticeable incriminating evidence, investigators returned to headquarters to run tests on the evidence they seized. During a review of the items confiscated from Gacy's house, investigators soon realised that they had unknowingly seized a piece of critical evidence. One of the rings found at Gacy's house belonged to another teenager who had disappeared a year earlier. With this new information, investigators began to realise the possible enormity of the case that was unfolding before them. Following the discovery of their new information, it was not long before investigators were able to obtain a second search warrant for Gacy's home. On December 22, 1978, Gacy realised that his dark secrets were about to be exposed. Confessed to police, telling them that he had murdered approximately 33 young men over the past 7 years. He also drew them a detailed map to the locations of the 28 shallow graves under his house and garage. Further, he admitted to dumping 5 others into the Des Plaines rivers. Gacy told detectives there are 4 Johns, referring to his multiple acclaimed personalities. He later explained that there were John the Contractor, John the Clown, John the politician, and the fourth person went by the name of Jack Hanley. Jack was the killer and did all the evil things. Gacy's murder trial began February 6, 1980 in the Cook County Criminal Courts building in Chicago. During the 5-week trial, the prosecution and the defence called more than 100 witnesses to testify. The defence strategy was to establish that Gacy was insane and out of control at the time of the killings. To bolster this claim, the defence put on the stand psychiatrists who had interviewed Gacy prior to the trial. After the closing arguments, the jury deliberated for only 2 hours before finding Gacy guilty of murdering 33 people. On March 13, 1980, Gacy was sentenced to die. Gacy was transported to the Menard Correctional Centre in Illinois. He would remain there for just over 14 years until he was transported to the Statesville Penitentiary near Houlier for execution. On May 9, 1994, Gacy sat down for his last meal: fried chicken, french fries, coke and strawberry shortcake. Prison officials later described his demeanour as chatty, talking up a storm. In a phone interview shortly before his execution, he told a Night Tribune reporter, "There's been 11 hardback books on me, 31 paperbacks, 2 screenplays, 1 movie, 1 off-Broadway play, 5 songs, and over 5,000 articles. What can I say about it?" But of course, he quickly protested, "I have no ego for any of this garbage." Just after midnight on May 10, 1994, Gacy was executed by lethal injection. For his last words, Gacy snarled, "Kiss my ass."